You know that feeling when it feels like everything is hitting you all at once, when fear and injustice and just sheer exhaustion all crash together? Well, King David starts this prayer, Psalm 31, by running to the only place he knows is truly safe. So, we're going to dive into Psalm 31, and not just as some piece of ancient poetry, but as a really practical, raw, and powerful prayer for those moments when our hearts are just struggling under the weight of everything, all at the same time.
Okay, so here's our plan. We'll start by looking at the pain that this prayer is born from. Then, we're going to diagnose the specific pressures on the heart. After that, we'll pinpoint the exact turning point of trust, see how this prayer fits into a way bigger story, and then, finally, we'll think about what it means for us to entrust ourselves to God, right here, right now.
All right, first things first. It is so important to get this. This psalm is written from inside the storm. This isn't some victory speech after it's all over. It's a cry for help from someone who is still right in the middle of it. It's a model for a faith that endures hardship, not one that magically escapes it.
I mean, just look at the situation David is in. This is not a single crisis. He's been wronged, people are twisting his story, his reputation is in tatters, and he's wrestling with all this shame. He's literally afraid of people, and he feels this pull to just hide and disappear. And on top of all that, he is emotionally and spiritually just spent. This is a long-term, relational kind of suffering.
So here's the key takeaway. The faith we see here, it isn't serene or detached, it's a fight. The prayer actually bounces back and forth between this raw fear and this determined faith. And that oscillation feels so real because faith in the middle of suffering is often a contested ground, you know? It's not some calm retreat.
To really get what's happening on the inside, we're going to look at a few key Hebrew words from the original text. You know, sometimes the original language just unlocks a richer, more specific understanding of what's being felt. These words help us diagnose the exact pressures on David's heart, and maybe on our own too. The psalm says there is terror on every side. The Hebrew for this is magor misaviv. Now, this isn't some vague anxiety. It's a specific relational fear, that feeling of being watched, gossiped about, and just completely unsafe among the very people around you. It's this feeling of being encircled by dread. It's closing in. David then says he feels like a broken vessel. The Hebrew phrase, kekali oved, it paints this picture of something that's ruined, discarded, and just forgotten. This goes way beyond sadness. It's about identity erosion, that sinking feeling that your worth is being defined by how other people have wronged you or just tossed you aside. He also mentions that they scheme together against me. The term here is yasdu ale, which means to conspire or to plot in secret. And this points to that unique kind of pain that comes from hidden injustice, the betrayal that happens behind your back, the stuff that never gets addressed or acknowledged.
Finally, he says his life is spent with sorrow. The word for this is yagah. And this is not just a passing bad mood. It means to be worn down, to become faint from sustained long-term pressure. It's that deep depletion of the spirit that comes when the trouble just doesn't end.
So after laying all of this pain out, the prayer makes this dramatic pivot. This is the turning point. But here's the thing. It's not a change in feelings or circumstances. It's a reorientation of the will. It's a deliberate act of trust.
And here it is, verse 14. But I trust in you, O Lord. This single word, but, it marks the whole shift. Everything that came before, the fear, the shame, the exhaustion, it's all still real. But he's making a conscious choice to move in a different direction.
And notice the contrast here. It's so important. David doesn't say, I feel safe now, or the plotting has stopped. His circumstances haven't changed one bit. Instead, he makes this declaration, my times are in your hand. And that is just a profound surrender of control.
The Hebrew word for trust here is batah, and it literally means to lean your full weight on something, to rely on it completely. So when David says, I trust, he is choosing to actively lean his entire situation, his timing, his reputation, his very life, onto God. So this intensely personal prayer suddenly opens up into a story that is so much bigger than just David. It's a prayer that finds its ultimate meaning and fulfillment in the life and specifically the death of Jesus Christ. Early in the psalm, David prays this line, "Into your hand I commit my spirit." It's a pretty profound statement of trust, especially in the face of what feels like deadly peril.
And yeah, those are the exact same words Jesus cried out from the cross.
He didn't just teach us about trust, he embodied this very prayer in his final moments as he faced the ultimate injustice and betrayal.
Just think about it. Jesus was betrayed by his closest friends, condemned by the religious leaders, publicly shamed, and he received no apology, no repentance from those who wronged him. In every single way, he lived out the suffering of this psalm perfectly and entrusted himself completely to his Father. And because Jesus prayed this prayer perfectly for us, it completely reframes our own suffering. It means that our stories, our identities, are ultimately not defined by the injustices done to us, but by the redemptive work He has done for us. So with that as our foundation, this psalm extends invitation to every one of us. It invites us to find our own story within its words and to really consider what it means to entrust ourselves to God right where we are.
So just take a second to think, is it that feeling of being a broken vessel? Or that sense of encircled dread? What parts of this prayer are resonating most deeply with you right now?
And when you've been wronged, how has that injustice shaped your identity? Has it made you feel forgotten or devalued or ashamed? It's worth asking. And this really brings us to the turning point. What would it actually look like for you, in your specific situation, today, to release control over the timing and the outcome and say, my times are in your hand?
In the end, this psalm teaches us a really powerful truth. Faith isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to trust right in the middle of it. It doesn't wait for things to feel safe before it leans on God. And maybe the greatest comfort of all is that because Christ has already walked this path of entrustment perfectly for you, you never, ever have to walk it alone.